Then Carter, how much money are we talking about here?
And the settlement was for $150,000. I got a copy of that agreement, and it was paid out in October. Turns out it relates to the Marvin Gethers case, a story I've been investigating for nearly 2 years now. The head of HR, Bill Brigman, said a school board member wrongfully implied that he was connected to that case.
It's the first time hearing about it.
Charleston School Board member Chris Collins says he knew comments he posted in 2018 upset CCSD's Human Resources Chief Bill Brigman, but says he did not know the district and its insurance company reached a settlement. Do you regret making those comments?
No, but I spoke the truth to the best of my knowledge.
Are you sorry it cost them $150,000?
You can say that I'm sorry money was paid out at all. Not a dime should have went out the door, not 1 cent should have been paid. That's just baloney. The whole thing to me is just ridiculous.
I analyzed all of the $1,000 donations made to the Tecklenburg and Seekings campaigns this year. That's the most that a single entity can donate. We looked for self-described developers or companies that specialize in commercial properties and major real estate investment. They totaled more than $175,000 in donations. How does that impact later on? Do you ever feel beholden to those companies when you're in office?
Well, no. I mean, there's a $1,000 limit for municipal election, and no one would sell their soul in policy making. I certainly wouldn't. I'm proud to have the support of some of our business community.
We counted $91,000 in developer-related donations to Tecklenburg and $84,000 to Seekings. Both of you have developers giving money to you.
Well, let me just say this. The biggest contributor to the Seekings campaign is me. I think it's good to set the record straight on this because there's been some things said that I'm 100% with developers. What I do for a living is I represent people in disputes that they have with, guess who? Developers. So the whole idea that somehow I've become someone who's out there in the pocket or working on behalf of developers is really, quite frankly, ridiculous.
Many people and companies easily and legally get around that $1,000 donation cap by using multiple LLCs to donate to a candidate. We even found developers who donated to both candidates.
I want to know who my child's bus driver is. In fact, my child loves his bus driver.
There's a nationwide shortage of bus drivers. We recently started looking into what it takes to become a school bus driver in South Carolina and how carefully those in charge are vetting the men and women responsible for your kids. But CCSD says while they work with Durham drivers every day and even train them some, CCSD has not the requested list of driver names from Durham and is not in possession of the list of Durham driver names. Therefore, CCSD cannot respond to your request. CCSD didn't prepare the list, doesn't own the list, doesn't use the list, and doesn't retain or possess the list. So we asked Durham directly to tell us who the drivers are, just their names. They refused to, quote, ensure the confidentiality and privacy of our employees.
I thought that surely they've given it to you.
State Senator Sandy Senn, an attorney in town, believes Durham should give us a list of bus drivers.
Once they've signed a contract with another group, that group has become quasi-governmental. And when they're quasi-governmental, they have to comply with the Freedom of Information Act.
Pictures show the suspect returned at least 2 more times by herself to deposit more forged checks. The victim alerted police in February, and Wells Fargo investigators provided those surveillance pictures. But tucked into that report was a picture of this woman, Paulette Lawrence, depositing $60 at the same bank. But it was a different amount, different account, and a different day, 3 days after that initial suspicious deposit. But somehow Paulette Lawrence was named a suspect.
So I opened the door, it was North Charleston Police Department. And one had his hand on his gun.
Paulette was enjoying a morning off with her daughter, who was home from college.
And they handcuffed me and took me out of my home in front of my daughter. At this point, I still didn't know why.
I think the city could make its budget on giving out tickets at these 2 intersections. That's how bad it is.
Still yellow, still have a yellow.
Within minutes, we caught drivers blatantly running red lights.
And that guy just crossed it right as it turned red. Whoa, red light right here, red light right here. White car just ran on red.
And making illegal left turns.
Whoa, she definitely ran it.
This delivery truck turned left on red, cutting off a skateboarder.
I don't care what time I come over here, it's like that.
Turns out she is right, and there's data to back it up. The State Department of Transportation labeled the entire Calhoun Street corridor as one of the 10 most dangerous in the state for non-motorized users, such as walkers and bikers and, yes, skateboarders. I got a list of all the traffic accidents that have happened out here just at Calhoun and Ashley over the past 2 years. Police say they have records of at least 258 traffic crashes here. That's more than 10 on average every month. Now, some of those involve pedestrians being hit or bicyclists being hit by cars, but the main reason for those crashes, things like distracted driving, following too closely, and making improper turns. But at least one city leader I spoke to said he does not believe that writing more traffic tickets is necessarily a long-term fix. In South Carolina, after payment is 50 days in default, the owner of the storage facility can start the auction process. First, they have to publish an advertisement of the public sale once a week for 2 consecutive weeks. There was a legal ad posted online for an auction for a storage unit, apparently an OBGYN office that hasn't paid its bills, and now they're auctioning off what's inside. But the legal ad itself says it's medical records. I went by the morning the auction was scheduled. How are you? Are you guys still doing an auction today? 10:45? The manager told us the auction was canceled because the OBGYN office finally paid up. Do you find that weird that they were posting medical records for sale? The storage manager said yes, they were very concerned, and they weren't really intending to sell the medical records, only the furniture that was left inside the unit. But they were planning to report the situation to the South Carolina Medical Board. The storage manager said the bill was almost 90 days delinquent.
That's scary, and you've got to think there's some ethical violations that could come into play.
I called the doctor's office, Ashley Oaks OBGYN. It was just alarming to see it posted. The office manager says it was simply a mistake. The office is in the middle of moving locations, and she forgot to pay the storage bill.
Hi. Yes, that is the best smile.
Like many babies, Madison's sweet smile lights up when she sees her mom, Elizabeth. But unlike most babies, Madison has a feeding tube and many other health complications.
She suffered some strokes in utero. She has cerebral palsy. And she's had 2 brain surgeries.
On top of all that stress, Elizabeth got this letter in the mail from MUSC Health.
I was very surprised to read that an employee of MUSC had taken a photograph of my daughter and posted it on social media without my knowledge. I think that would creep any parent out, and it just makes me feel very violated.
Hospitals are required to notify patients of HIPAA violations or privacy breaches. The letter said a photo with lettering imprinted over Madison's face was posted on the social media platform of an employee. It says appropriate action was taken.
I don't know what appropriate action means. I don't know what the image was, where it was posted, if it was shared, any of that.
Do you have any idea if it was positive or negative?
They won't provide me with that information.
MUSC did apologize for what happened, but said that legally they cannot get into the specifics. A spokesperson did tell me they've had 6 social media related breaches like this over the past 3 years. And they asked that we point out the perspective that they have about 1.2 million patient interactions every year. Long lines on Election Day are sometimes kind of inspiring, people participating in a fundamental American right.
I'm glad to see them here. I mean, this is what makes us who we are.
But sometimes waiting and waiting is really frustrating.
There's so many dips and curves in here. I had no idea, but it was long.
These were not normal wait times. We're talking about 4-hour wait times, somewhere in that range. Come to find out, this isn't the first time that unreasonably long wait times have occurred at these polling places.
State election officials say the problem here is a history of consolidated precincts. Voters from different precincts all using the same polling place on Election Day. Charleston County is divided into 170 precincts, which share 86 polling places.
It's something that's gone on in Charleston County for decades.
Charleston Election Board Chairman Christine Varnado says 38% of Charleston County voters are in a consolidated precinct.
Charleston County is on another level when it comes to this practice.
Varnado does not think consolidated precincts are the problem. She blames a lack of poll workers and equipment. But the Attorney General points to state law and says there should be a polling place in each precinct.
From a logistical standpoint, it would be virtually impossible.